Obviously the co-main event of the UFC 291 card is the Alex Pereira vs BLACHOWICZ fight. Now for me, this is a really intriguing fight because obviously you got Alex Pereira, who's coming off a loss to Israel Adesanya in their last fight, and then obviously you got BLACHOWICZ, who I think he came off a contentious decision loss to Ankalaev. I think that was his last fight, wasn't it? And that was a really close fight, and it could have went his way. And a lot of people thought he won that fight. So from that perspective, it's an interesting fight because neither one of them have somewhat dominated their last fight. But you can say that Pereira's had a more devastating loss than BLACHOWICZ has. But BLACHOWICZ, I would say, is I believe BLACHOWICZ has got the advantage in this fight, and the reason why I think he's got the advantage is obviously he's probably not as good a kickboxer as Pereira, but he is bigger than he is, right? Obviously he's a light heavyweight, and on top of that, and don't get it twisted, Alex Pereira is a massive dude. Like, he probably is more of a light heavyweight than a middleweight. He cuts himself to make middleweight, and a lot of people don't understand how he does it because he's such a big guy. So the light heavyweight limit is probably more his actual weight, if you were to look at it like that. So to some extent, him moving up to light heavyweight might actually be an advantage. But just for semantics' sake, case, we'll just say that BLACHOWICZ is the bigger man because he was at that weight class for longer. So he's the bigger man. He doesn't have the kickboxing skills, I don't think, of Pereira. I think Pereira's actual kickboxing skills are more advanced. He fought in a more prestigious organization in Glory, and he became a champion in 2 weight classes in Glory. So he's one of the best kickboxers in the world. That's undeniable. But the one thing that Pereira has going for him that I don't think BLACHOWICZ, the one thing BLACHOWICZ has going for him that Alex Pereira doesn't is he's more well-rounded. So when I say well-rounded, this is a guy who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a wrestling background, and that might not mean much generally because it seems like every UFC fighter has that. But compared to Alex Pereira, who's predominantly a kickboxer, I think Jan BLACHOWICZ well-rounded nature is what's going to get him the victory because he is so well-rounded. He can actually beat him at his own game, which is to actually beat him by taking it to the ground and ground pounding him. That's what I think he should do. So I think obviously the first round you start the fight on your feet. He's just gonna have to. I would recommend not getting into a kickboxing exchange with this guy. Get it onto the ground as soon as you can. Just wrestle. Fuck him the way you can. Just get that win no matter what you can do. Even if it doesn't look pretty doing it, whatever you can do, just get it onto the ground because that's where your advantage lays. And I think Jan BLACHOWICZ understands this. It's going to be quite a similar fight to when he fought Israel Adesanya, where he just dominated the ground game and Israel Adesanya couldn't actually do anything. And it's ironic I'm saying that because obviously Pereira and Adesanya are quite close rivals. So the fact that they can have a game where they're fighting against the same guy, Jan BLACHOWICZ, is going to be interesting to see a comparison of both of their performances against Jan BLACHOWICZ. But I think Jan BLACHOWICZ actually beats Pereira. I think he submits him. That's my pick that's my prediction for the fight. I think he submits him and he makes it. I wouldn't say he makes it look easy because no fight is easy, but the first couple of rounds are going to be quite difficult. But the thing is, what I would say is Jan BLACHOWICZ is a decent kickboxer. He's not on the level of Pereira. I think Pereira's on a whole nother level because obviously, like I mentioned before, he won 2 titles in the most prestigious kickboxing organization in the world, Glory. But what I would say is that Jan BLACHOWICZ is a legit fighter in the sense that I think he can hold his own against him. Not hold his own to beat him at kickboxing, but a couple of rounds I think he can do enough to stay on his feet and not get completely wiped out. And then he needs to take it to the ground as quickly as he can. If he can take it to the ground, I think he beats him. Because I just don't think Alex Pereira's got the ground game to actually, or the defensive ground game to actually negate his strong offense when it comes to the ground game. And it's going to look eerily similar to the fight with Adesanya. I think it's just going to take him to the ground and he's just going to completely put him into a position where he's vulnerable and probably submit him. And it hurts me to say that because I think Alex Pereira is a breath of fresh air in the middleweight division. I think he brought a lot of luster back to that division and he made Adesanya's name even more popular because obviously we saw them trilogy. So that's just my opinion. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about this? Do you think what I'm saying is true? Do you think Alex Pereira wins, or do you think what I'm saying is is complete nonsense, and Alex Pereira beats him quite decisively. I think Jan Blachowicz beats him. I think he's one of the most underrated fighters in the sport, and if he does beat him, he would have beaten two of the best middleweights of the past 10 years, I would say, in Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. I'm going to make a separate video talking about that, actually. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me your opinion. Who do you think wins this fight? And like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.